So here we have user research in Dubai, conducting research in a Muslim country where 85% of the population are expats. Eleonora Zucconi, lead user experience researcher, and actually a fan of Lina Wettmuller from the, the title of the speech. So here's a Pecha Kucha for the next 6 minutes and 40 seconds.
Hi everyone, I'm Eleonora. I'm a user experience researcher, and today I'm going to share some of the things I learned from planning and conducting research in Dubai, a city which is at the same time similar to most Western capitals we know, but also very different. I'm going to start by introducing myself. This is me. I moved to Dubai 8 months ago to lead the research team at Shared, a mobile marketplace for women where they can sell and buy second-hand fashion. Before that, I worked in the UK as head of UX and associate lecturer in UX. And the reason I wanted to move to Dubai is because of its differences from Europe. Has anyone here been to Dubai, by the way? One. Well done. So if you've never been there, this is probably what you're associated with. Sports cars, tallest building in the world. That's where I live. It's a beautiful place. However, from a researcher's perspective, there are even more exciting things. The first difference I want to talk about is the composition of the population. If we exclude our neighbor, Vatican City, which has no natural citizens, the United Arab Emirates are the country in the world with the highest expat rate. 85% of people living there are not born there. And that's a lot more than Italy or the UK. And a consequence of that is my office. Every day I walk into an office where we are 25 people from 19 countries. Or in the first round of research I ran, I spoke to 41 people from 24 different countries. It's basically like conducting international and cross-cultural research without leaving the country. Another consequence is the huge diversity in mental models people have about pretty much everything. Most of my research is about second-hand clothing trading, and when I ask people, this is what they construct it as, from open-air markets in Moldova to really professional-looking charity shops in the UK. And the same is true for payment gateways, for example. In Italy, we are quite used to PayPal, but from my research, I discovered that in Colombia, PSC is very popular. In Kenya, M-Pesa, a mobile payment gateway, is leading the market. In Bulgaria, they have EasyPay, and in the UAE, Payfort and Checkout.com lead the market. Or, people use the same websites as we use in Italy, for example, Amazon, but they work in different ways. By talking to a Brazilian participant, I discovered that users in Brazil expect to be able to pay in installments, even for relatively small amounts. This is Amazon Brazil. You can buy Kindle paying in installments. Another difference is in politics and religion. The UAE is an absolute monarchy, and we don't have those in Europe yet. Islam is the official religion, and 77% of the population is Muslim, so it's a vast majority. And this has consequences in terms of what is legal and what is not, and what questions people will ask in your screeners. When I was working on a screener for recruitment participants, I realized that the options for civil status are far fewer than we have in Europe and US. For example, targeting separated users is going to be really hard in Dubai. The same is true for other questions, which are pretty common here. For example, in Dubai, it's illegal for men and women to live together if they're not married or related. In reality, lots of couples live together, even if they're not married and related, especially in touristic areas, but they're not going to tell you in a screener because that would expose them to unwanted risks. Sexual orientation is another difficult question to ask. In the census last year in Canada, there was a question about that indirectly, but in Dubai, it's illegal and the punishment is actually death penalty, although it's never been enforced so far. That doesn't mean that there are no gay people in Dubai, but they're not going to tell you in a screener. Health and fitness, depending on your area of research, in order to live and work in the UAE, you need to be free from all transmissible diseases, for example, HIV, and depending on your work sector, also from additional illnesses, or even you're required not to be pregnant if you want to work as a domestic worker. Drinking, for example, drinking habits, a huge area of research in Europe. Muslims, it's forbidden to Muslims to drink. And expats in Dubai can buy drinks in hotels and bars, or they need a special license to buy alcohol in special supermarkets. But addressing drinking behavior is extremely difficult. And finally, web usage. There is a long list of websites which are blocked in the UAE, and I came across a lot of those who are working on this presentation. This means that depending, for example, if you want to research gambling behavior, that's going to be really hard because gambling websites are blocked in the UAE, and using VPNs is illegal as well. So as a researcher, how can we get to talk to these hidden or underrepresented groups? And the solution is noble sampling, which is a non-probability sampling technique, where basically existing research participants refer other participants that meet your requirement. And although there is some selection bias in there, it's the technique that is used in addressing populations which are different to address otherwise. And finally, conducted research. I was lucky enough to be there during Ramadan, and in Ramadan it's a full month during which Muslims fast from dawn to sunset. No water, no food, nothing. And this has a profound impact on the wake and sleep routine. Most of them wake up 2 a.m. in the morning, they have breakfast, they pray, and then some of them go back to sleep. Others just stay awake, take a nap in the afternoon. Working hours are reduced for everyone, including non-Muslims. And this has a disruptive effect on their behaviors. Online, on the left, we noticed, for example, an increase in the app usage during the night hours. But offline, as a researcher, you're going to have a hard time recruiting Muslim participants because they're just exhausted. Or if they participate in your research, you need to account for the increased fatigue. So in summary, I talked about the differences between Italy and partially UK and the UAE in terms of the expat rate and diversity, and also about socio-religious differences and the impact it has on recruiting people and observing behavior during specific times of the year. Thank you.